Have you ever felt like your most valuable data is just locked inside TallyPrime? You know it's in there, but getting it out to build the custom reports you really need can be a huge headache? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we are going to crack open a powerful, built-in tool that lets you connect Tally to pretty much any analysis software you can think of. All right, let's get into it.
So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the reporting challenge that, let's be honest, probably brought you here. Then we'll introduce the amazing solution, the ODBC Bridge. After that, we'll tackle your biggest questions, run through some quick troubleshooting for common hiccups, and wrap it all up with the key things you need to remember. All right, let's start with the core problem, the thing that gets in everyone's way, trying to get more out of your data than the standard built-in reports will allow. Does this sound familiar? You've got this very specific question about your business performance, right? Maybe a unique KPI you want to track or a dashboard you've been dreaming of building. But the reports inside TallyPrime, they just don't quite cut it. You know the data is there. You just can't slice and dice it the exact way you need to. And that's the real challenge, isn't it? Look, Tally is absolutely brilliant for accounting, for compliance, for getting that data in. But when it comes to modern business intelligence, building those awesome dynamic dashboards in Power BI or doing some serious what-if scenarios in Excel, you've got to bridge that gap. You need a way to get that rich, raw data out. And that's where this gets exciting. Let's talk about the solution. It's time to introduce the piece of tech that's going to be your personal data translator, the ODBC Bridge. Okay, so let's get a little technical for just a second. ODBC stands for Open Database Connectivity. It's basically a universal standard, kind of like a digital handshake that lets all sorts of different programs talk to all sorts of different databases, even if they don't speak the same native language. And this is the best way to think about it. Tally has its own unique way of storing data, its own secret language, if you will. What ODBC does is act like a real-time universal translator. It takes Tally's language and, on the fly, translates it into standard SQL, a language that tools like Excel, Power BI, and Tableau speak fluently. It is literally the key that unlocks your data. So that all sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work? Let's get practical and answer some of the most common questions you probably have about using Tally's ODBC feature. Let's start with the question every business owner asks first. What's this going to cost me? Do I need to shell out for another license or some kind of special add-on to get this to work? And the answer is a big, beautiful no. The ODBC driver is already built right into TallyPrime. If you've got a valid license, doesn't matter if it's single user or multi-user, you already own this. It's turned on by default, just sitting there waiting for you to use it. Okay, this next question is super important because it's all about managing expectations. Can you just connect Power BI to Tally and poof, a perfectly formatted balance sheet appears? So here's the deal, and this is really crucial. Tally's ODBC doesn't give you finished reports. What it gives you are the raw building blocks, all your vouchers, your ledgers, your stock items in neat little tables. It's your job to take that raw data and use the tools in Excel or Power BI to build the report. You have to tell it how to group the ledgers and add them up to create that balance sheet. All right, so you've done the work, you've built your awesome custom report, but what happens when your team makes a new sales entry back in Tally? How do you make sure your dashboard is showing the absolute latest info? And this is the magic of it. The connection is live. It's also read-only, which is great because it means you can't accidentally break anything. To get the latest numbers, all you do is hit that Refresh Data button in Excel or Power BI. That's it. It instantly reruns your query and pulls the freshest data straight from Tally's memory. Now, there is one catch, and it's an important one. TallyPrime has to be running with your company open for that connection to work. Now, like with any tech, sometimes you're going to hit a snag. It happens. So let's quickly walk through a troubleshooting guide for the most common connection issues you might run into. This is, without a doubt, the #1 problem people face. You've set it all up, you go to connect, and bam, connection failed. Or maybe host unreachable. So frustrating. What's the deal? The fix is almost always one of these 3 things. First, check the obvious. Is Tally actually running with the right company open? Second, make sure that port number, it's usually 9000, is the same in Tally settings and in your connection tool. And third, the most common culprit, you have to tell Windows Firewall that it's okay for Tally to talk to other programs on that port. Okay, next up is another classic frustration. You're connected, things are working, but when you try to pull data, it takes forever. Your computer slows down, TallyPrime freezes up. Why is it so slow? The answer is all about how you ask for the data. If you just say, give me everything, like in that first example, you're forcing Tally to process potentially millions of records from years of data. But look at the second query. By adding a simple filter, a where clause, to only ask for data after a certain date, you make the request 1,000 times faster. This is probably the single most important tip for good performance.
Phew, we've covered a lot of ground, right? From the big idea to the nitty-gritty details. So let's bring it all home and boil it down to the key principles you need to remember to make this a huge success. If you only remember 3 things from our time together, make it these. 1. ODBC is your data bridge, not your report builder. You get the raw materials, you do the building. 2. Filter, filter, filter. Always tell Tally exactly what data you need to keep things speedy. And 3. If you can't connect, don't panic. It's almost always a simple firewall or port setting. Master these 3 ideas and you're golden. Unlocking your data with ODBC is a massive first step. It opens up an entirely new universe of custom analysis. But it also makes you wonder, what's next? What's the next level? Now that you can get the data out, are you ready to go even deeper and explore Tally's own developer language to build even more powerful things? The journey is just beginning.